Pam's not there.
There it is.
Oh, there she
Uh-oh,
is.
there we go. All right, there you go. Thank you. Good evening. Let's call the meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, June the 27th. We're at the Civic Center for our end of the month meeting. We have a quorum. We have everyone here. And we will move on into the agenda. First thing on there is meeting dates and times by the mayor. I put that on there. I have, as all of us have had at least a year experience of sitting at this table, some longer than others. But I believe that Mexico Beach, that we need to consolidate our meeting, and would like to propose consolidating to 2 meetings a month, one being the regular meeting, which is 6 o'clock on the second Tuesday, and the second meeting, the fourth Tuesday, and just make them regular meetings. If you look at the business that comes before us, like I say, we all have sat here long enough to have some understanding that we tend to just talk about things that we talk about again, and I believe that we can handle our business very appropriately in 2 regular meetings. And I also would like to suggest and would propose that we use our fourth Tuesday meeting at a 9 a.m. meeting. It is common for municipal meetings to be held during business hours. Mexico Beach has long had a history of, you have to be at 6 o'clock, nobody will be here. Well, I think we all can say that that's just not the case. That is absolutely not the case. Attendance is driven by agenda. It's not driven by time of day. I believe you would see there are those out there that can't come at 6 o'clock. If we're given an alternative, we have one at 6, one meeting at 9, and let the pre-agenda, that first Tuesday meeting, or is it Wednesday? Tuesday, the first Tuesday. Just let that be, whatever was going to be on there be on the regular meeting. But that's what I wanted to talk about, and I would like to propose that be something that we entertain. With that said, we'll discuss it if there's those that want to discuss it. Doesn't matter to me, whoever wants to discuss it.
I think Jerry brought it up before. I really didn't have an opposition to the 2 meetings. The only suggestion I had was that we keep the 3rd meeting on the calendar to be used as one that we would know to be there. So if we needed a special meeting, we knew what date we would be utilizing. If we needed a town hall meeting, we could use that date. And if it didn't, at the end of a year, if we didn't need that and so forth, it'd be easy to drop off. But I think we could probably do everything 2 meetings. I have had a couple of emails requesting that we not change time. I guess personally, one time, the one we have is fine with me. But yeah, I agree. We could probably do everything we need to do in 2 meetings. But
A special meeting would require announcing it to the public, right? How many days in advance? 3 days in advance? So I don't know that 3rd meeting we need to set, if we're going to have it, particularly have it at a certain time every month. Because if you're going to have a special meeting, there's a reason you've got to have that special meeting, and sometimes it's more important to have it sooner than later. And so I like the idea, if you're going to call a special meeting, that you call a special meeting and have it, if things determine or dictate that we need to get it over and done with, rather than if we had something that came up the second or the 3rd Thursday or the 2nd Thursday of the month, and we needed to have a meeting next week, then we could advertise it for 3 days and have that meeting. That's the only problem I have with that, but I'm all in favor of the 2 meetings.
So would the 4th meeting be our voting meeting, or would both of them be our voting meeting?
Both be voting meetings.
Okay.
Both be regular voting, just like
Regular
Ham-
workshop,
Well, workshops, you
What-
don't traditionally vote.
No, but
Go ahead.
heavy discussion, that's all involved with any meeting.
Citizens and table with both of the meetings you're talking
Sure,
about.
just like we run.
Okay,
Okay.
I mean, I would suggest that we use a very similar format for both meetings, citizen comments. I mean, just let it be
Okay.
just regular council meeting.
I like the idea with Jerry that we don't have a set third meeting. If we need a special meeting, we announce it. And I'm glad you're sitting, Jerry, because I have no problem with it.
Well, the other thing I've thought about, since we all know the crowd is, this is pretty much typical. I don't know how, would it be possible to have that meeting in City Hall at the chamber there, since we've got a nice large area and everybody could come sit in there? If it was a special situation, I mean, we could tell if it's a hot number, then we'd have it here, or I just, that's a real neat area, and I hate to see it go to waste, I guess. But,
do we have enough room for?
It's not big enough.
Citizens?
you don't think it's big enough?
No.
Well, okay,
Rex, you got any comments?
never mind.
I'm fine. I think it's driven by the topic too. You know, we could probably tell you who'd be here on certain, whatever you look at.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, on the time issue, several reasons that I bring up is trying to give our citizens a different. We ask our staff to come in at 6 o'clock, and there are times that's a long day. We pay overtime to someone to come in to film the meeting. If we have had 9 o'clock meetings before. CDC has all of their meetings. They're business people. I've never heard anyone say, I wish they didn't meet at 9 o'clock. So I would like to hope that we would experience, if you can call it an experiment, but I think that it's easy to justify for the citizens of our town, if they are interested in government, that they'll be here at 9 o'clock. I can tell you, if you put the sanitation ordinance on there, they'll be here at 2 o'clock in the morning.
You think?
I think so. So my point being that again, it is common for business hours and business meetings for municipalities. So if you would, let's put it on the agenda for Tuesdays, our July meeting for, what about the time? Let's talk about that.
So one at 6 and one at 9.
The charter requires the second Tuesday to be it doesn't, you could change that time, but it's traditionally been that for 50 years. I don't see any reason to change that. The fourth Tuesday meeting is something that's been kicked around.
Used to be on
Something they used to
Wednesday
have
at
it, then
4.
they didn't have it, then they had it, and so and the charter doesn't reference a second meeting. So, let's put that on there for the 2 meetings, the second Tuesday at 6 o'clock, the fourth Tuesday at 9 a.m. And we'll put that bring that on, up for the, discussion and see how we feel about it next, or whatever, second Tuesday, July, whatever that day is. Any comments concerning meetings and times? Absolutely. Just stand up and speak your piece.
I wish you would change it, leave it at 8. People
Okay.
are used to it.
All right.
Some people work at night, in the morning, how can you make meetings if they're working?
All right. Yes, ma'am.
You said that the citizens would still have a say-so at the 2 meetings, but if you introduce a topic at the meeting and then you plan to vote on it, how do you get the word out to the people before you vote on what's going on so that you can get some response from them?
Well, think about that. This agenda we're speaking about tonight's been available for how long?
Since Wednesday.
Since Wednesday. So when you say we would introduce something, you make it sound as if we would slip something by.
That's happened many times under miscellaneous.
Well, all I can say is that I think the five of us, or whoever the five people are that are sitting here, have to be accountable to the citizens. If it has to do with an ordinance, you can't do that. It takes 2 readings. If it has to do with a mutual aid agreement for the state of Florida, I don't think that would be something that would be an issue. Or you have to entrust that the people at this table will do what is best for the citizens. I don't know, you make that comment, and I'll leave it at that. You're entitled to your opinion, but I don't know of anything that has been detrimental to the city that has been done or would be done in some type of, where you don't, again, the agenda's published. And we have been very, in the last several years especially, we have been much more vigilant to the agenda and keeping what is on here is what we discuss. So I don't personally see that the public would be affected by that.
Well, if we, sorry.
Go ahead. Is your vision that, I mean, if something's brought up, would we vote on it that time? Or
Well, remember,
It depends.
somebody has to make a motion,
Right.
somebody's got to second it, and
Right.
somebody's got to
So-
call for a vote.
So
it's-
Lisa, it doesn't mean that
I mean,
we
that's-
bring it up and we're gonna vote on it.
It's interesting because this is opposite of what you said the last time it was brought up.
You're right, it is. It is. That's why I said to Jerry, good thing you're sitting down.
I have one question preparing the resolution for that meeting. If we go to regular meetings, that agenda format's laid out in that resolution and does not include miscellaneous. Or do we want to leave it that way?
Well, I think we should always have a miscellaneous.
And the regular agenda does
I
not
mean,
have it.
you have to have an opportunity to run the city business. It doesn't mean that somebody's gonna vote on something, it just means that we might wanna discuss it and see, something could happen in the 5 days after this thing was printed.
I will add it to the agenda layout that's in that resolution.
My only comment was for us up here to be very vigilant if we try this out. That if it appears what we're speaking of is something like garbage that's going to be a real bugaboo for citizens that really are going to want input, then we need to be vigilant to table it or table voting on it until the next meeting to give our citizens. I think it's probably worth trying. It's like some of the other things we have tried. You never know until we try sometimes. It could be abused. There's always abilities to abuse things. But I think if it tries, it works. It's not a bad idea. If it really doesn't work, then our citizens, not just the 4 or 5 in here, have to really tell us, because they're the ones we're serving.
Well, I just can't, I'm sorry, I don't see how it won't work.
I'm not arguing that it won't.
Okay, well, I mean,
Okay.
well, we seem to be
No, I'm not
finding
arguing
a way
that
it won't work.
No, I'm not arguing that.
Okay.
What's the deadline on us having an item on the agenda?
Thursday at noon before the meeting?
Basically a week before.
5 days.
5 days.
5 days.
And that would be the same for the other meeting as well.
Correct. All meetings.
Okay.
Other questions? Anybody? Moving on. Mr. Clerk.
All right, you're going to see in your packet an RFQ for a health insurance agent and agency services. It is the city of Parker's. I didn't want to recreate it and retype it until I knew if the council wanted me to continue down this road. We had started looking at contracts probably a year ago, 2 years ago, to make sure that we're getting the best service we can in all of the contracted services we get as a city. And we are asking if the council has any desire to go out for RFQs for health insurance, as it's one of our largest driving costs in the city, and to see what service is out there and see if we're really getting the best bang for our dollar.
Have we had complaints from our employees about our insurance?
not about insurance, it's about the agent representing insurance is what this would be. This is about switching, this is an agency first. You have to find an agent before you can find an insurance plan. Is there a lot of complaints on our insurance itself? I mean, no. Everybody's pretty happy. I mean, they
Just-
changed a couple things this year, but
How long have we done business with these people?
I don't know that answer.
Way before my time.
So we're using the same one we did,
Still using Jerry?
it's time.
Probably 15 years.
I don't see any problem with advertising.
Doesn't mean Gerald won't get it.
That's true.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's recommended even for us as good business as we start looking at churning to every 2 or 3 years, look. I think we should transfer that to city and look.
I will make this look a little more Mexico Beachy
Oh.
than Parker.
Yeah, please do.
For the next meeting, but we need to move quickly as our renewal is in October or November.
Yeah, because we'll need to vote on an RFP.
Yeah, so we'll put it on the agenda to vote at the next meeting, and I'll make it Mexico Beach. And it'll be pretty much the same thing, might be some tweaks to the evaluation process and things that apply to us. One of them in here is, it talks about dental and life insurance as well. I would like to do dental, life, and vision, so. And
You
it's not just
prepared.
because I have glasses.
You prepared and skinny it up some. This is, I don't think I've ever seen an RFQ like that. But it doesn't matter. Okay, we good with that? We're gonna put that on there? Okay. Mr. Administrator? Medical marijuana.
Yes, sir. This particular item, recall we did pass an ordinance about the temporary ban on dispensaries that will end the end of August. So we have a couple of months yet to get our replacement in place. The state did pass something last week that did state that municipalities can ban dispensaries from the limits of their municipalities. But if you decide not to ban them, you have no control over how many can come to your municipality. So before our attorney can finish the final ordinance, we need to know whether you guys want to ban it or to allow it and really have little control over locations and that sort of thing.
Okay, so really this just needs to be on our agenda. This is an agenda item for the July meeting for a decision on what we want to do.
Well, the decision needed to come sooner rather than later so the ordinance can be finished for July. So we could, if you wish, keep this in your mind now, discuss it for a final decision on our first meeting in July, and then put it on for the first meeting, the second meeting in July, now that we're going to 2 meetings.
But what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages? One of the disadvantages I see right off that is if we allow it, then we have no control over how many. And I don't like that situation.
Right.
And what is the plus in allowing it to begin with? Can anybody tell me what the pluses are? Do we get tax money from that?
We get some, of course. And it's not like we're gonna have 25 people showing up wanting to locate in Mexico Beach, but just the idea that we really have a little control.
I'd rather get a CVS in here before I get a medical marijuana pharmacy.
The legal stuff.
That's right.
I agree.
If I can add a comment of research I found on the negative side of that, areas of this size, small communities, burglaries will increase when certain topics get out of what residentials receive medical marijuana. So there would be an increase of crime, in my opinion.
I can't see any advantage to approving it, period.
I can't see any advantage of having any of them since we have the option of nothing or we don't have control. I like having zero.
I agree.
I like
If
to
there's no
have some-
in between,
Yeah.
we could have two, or we could have, it's either all or none.
Exactly. So based on your consensus, I'll have the attorney proceed in getting it to.
Yeah, why don't you just have him draw it up, I mean, because it can't be difficult to change if we change our mind
Right.
on,
Exactly.
So-
We can either vote it up or vote it down. or we'll change it.
that's right. So, yeah, I don't like the not being able to.
Control.
All right, so you got some direction there?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hall?
This will just be on the next voting meeting in July. Just let you guys know, we did get our new push vote last week, and the old one, will surplus and get rid of it.
You think somebody will pay for that?
Do you think
I've
you
seen that.
can get someone to haul it off?
If you can get somebody,
We'll haul it ourselves over the time off. We'll get more money that way on it.
I think you're right, yeah,
But yeah.
it's terrible.
So that's, we just need a formal surplus vote on that for Tuesday, I mean,
Yes,
for
sir.
July.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Mr. City Clerk, here we are again. Pre-agenda meeting schedule.
Me again. Your pre-agenda is next Tuesday, the 4th. Are we going to postpone that meeting, or are we just going to cancel that meeting?
On the 4th?
Yeah, it's Tuesday, the 4th. Sorry I'm behind, usually I do this
What's
monthly,
on,
but
what have we got for agenda items?
whatever's coming out of here, but nothing yet.
So our next meeting, if we postponed it, would be
July
the
12th.
20th?
July.
12th?
No,
11th.
the 4th.
Why don't we wait till we get through with this meeting and we'll come back to that.
Okay.
item.
Why couldn't we just change it to a day later?
You could change it to Wednesday, or we can get rid of it. Either way, it doesn't matter.
I don't see much point in getting rid of it.
Well, let's wait and see what we got to talk about. Right now, we don't have anything.
Okay.
I mean, let's bring that, let's move number 6 down to 12. I mean, number 5 down to 12. And let's just see what happens. Is that good? All right, playground equipment.
All righty. I do apologize. I apparently forgot to put the adult exercise equipment in there. But I did add some of the children's playground stuff that's on there. Several different variations of playground equipment. Basically, what I'm asking for, over there at the Under Palm Park, we didn't install any swing sets. Wasn't a requirement. I don't think it's a requirement on this one either, but swing sets are big. People love them. I mean, they really do. So I added a couple extra swing sets in there with some mother and baby type swings and a handicap swing for children that may be handicapped. Basically, what I need to know is there anything that tickles your fancy, or do you want me to look at something else? The biggest thing, everything that you guys see in front of you now, I pulled off the for sale website, off their websites. Everything is for sale. We just simply can't afford the brand new stuff that isn't on sale. I mean, it's ridiculous how much this stuff is. But we still have to get material to fill the area, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be the last FERDAP grant where we're going to have to purchase a sign to put out there, which isn't a whole lot, but I mean, there's a lot of factors that play into it. So I'm trying to keep the playground cost for the playground equipment $20,000 or less, so that we'll have enough funds to fill out the rest of the project that we'll have to do. On Palm Park, we had to build benches. We could either bought or build our own. We wound up building our own because we didn't have the funds to buy some decent benches to put out there. So I'm trying to keep the cost $20,000 or less. And everything that you see in there, I think, with the exception of one, was $20,000. No, it's actually, well, it's just above $20,000.
Is this the same company that is over there under the palm?
No, sir.
No.
Well, I like the yellow one. I think the yellow one looks, and it's for ages 5 to 12, so it covers a lot. And I think the swing idea is great. Can we, though, have this inclusive seat? Is that the handicap seat that you're talking about? Is that considered a handicap seat?
Yes.
Okay. Can that be put, does that have to have its own?
It has to have its own bay, so
Right.
to speak.
So when I look at these swings, can we just get 2 swings for 2 regular swings and then another bay for the handicap? Or how do we,
My plan is to purchase 2 of these
Okay.
One would be as you see it now. The second would have the handicap swing, and then the other two would be for the mother baby swing. That's my plan.
Good, I like that.
Okay.
I like the fact this was marked down from 18,000 to 10,000.
Yeah, I was telling Rex before the meeting that I found one that was 212,000.
I don't think we'd go for that.
Yeah.
But,
But that would require us to extend our playground area more or less square off than what you see now is an L shape now. We'll square off the area. And then also, depending on what you guys would like to see as far as adult exercise equipment goes, I will email all that stuff to you guys tomorrow. Sorry, I forgot it. But I'll get what I've got.
okay.
I'll to you tomorrow.
Have we seen any of this equipment?
I actually went this weekend in Panama City. I went to one of the schoolhouses over there in Millville, and they had some of this equipment out there.
From these people?
Well, I don't know if it was from these people, but it was the same kind of stuff, and it looked.
Well, that scares me
Very
at
resilient.
18 to 10,000. I've just seen too much of this stuff that's not quality.
I understand that. That's why I went with Little Tykes. I know they're a big brand company.
Is that what these pictures are? I mean, this is from that company?
The one I'm looking at is from Little Tykes, yes, sir.
This yellow one?
No, it's from Game Time, but they're a big,
Yellow.
they're a
Game
big,
Time's another big brand.
it's a
company.
big brand for
Okay.
playground equipment.
And then I looked at Playworld's website, the one that we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
But they don't have a whole lot within our price range.
No, they don't. That's top of the line. That's nice stuff. But, okay. All right, so yellow we like, or anybody don't like?
I think
I like
we-
yellow.
Okay, well, yellow's all right. I think we need to go with turquoise and white and beige.
Well, I'm using the color on
I know,
the page.
I know. Oh, you mean that?
I mean this
Oh, you
yellow.
meant- Oh, yeah.
You called it
this-
yellow, I'm calling it
No,
yellow.
no, you meant, I thought you meant overall.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the color of this page.
We'll give you some sunglasses.
All right, so what else you need from us?
That's it. I will get y'all the,
Adult.
like I said, the adult stuff tomorrow, email it to everybody. And if y'all wanna add that, we'll go from there.
Yeah, I'd like to see 2 or 3 things.
This will be on the agenda at the next voting meeting.
Check to see if these handicap, if they can, I thought, did you say they have to be in a bay by themselves? Yeah, that's what I thought too. Okay. Do we need-
Any comments on playground equipment from the table, from out there, everybody? I doubt y'all, I don't know.
Do we
they
need
have the-
all those swings? 4 regular, 1 adult and child.
No, 2
and-
regular.
Two regular.
Two red.
2 regular.
Yeah, but there's 4
There's 4
swings.
swings
Yeah,
in the
Oh.
swing set.
so we would end up with 6 or
Just
8
get 2.
swings.
That's too many
I'm not
swings.
sure we need all
Could
We
that.
have 4 swings, 4 normal swings, 2
Yeah.
for a mother and a child, 1 for a handicap.
So
Don't need
that's
4.
6.
Don't need 4.
I don't think we need 4
misunderstood.
regular swings.
No, we
I
don't
think
need-
2 regular swings.
I would disagree. When we had the swings out, they were used quite a bit.
There's
Okay.
some-
I mean, I wasn't,
how many swings we have now?
0 right
0.
now, because we took them out for the city hall building. But
Okay.
Yeah, we
when
can
they were-
find that space, Philip. We don't have near the space we have.
Oh, I understand that,
So
but
we
that's
gotta
why,
be-
that's why I was
if we
saying we
gonna
have to
put-
square out the area,
Yeah.
extend it out a little bit.
Well, I'd like to see how it's gonna lay out.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not a
Before
problem.
we, I mean,
with the adult playground too in there, in your layout.
Yeah, it doesn't take much for the adults.
Well, that's gonna, if we do wanna go with something like that, obviously, that's gonna be a big game changer. We're more than
Right.
likely, we will have to take one of the swing sets
Yeah.
out. Something will have to go.
Well, I think right now we have more adults using that area than we have children using that area.
We definitely have a lot of adults, or more adults using the tennis courts and the basketball courts, but we do get quite a bit of activity on the playground itself. I
Look
agree.
at it all day long.
Yeah. In my personal opinion, I think it's great that we put the playground back over there. You know, something nice that doesn't look like you're gonna get a splinter by walking by it, you know, but,
No, it's pretty cruddy right now.
yeah. It is used, it's definitely used.
I agree with you. We need to replace it. I just don't know. when
All right,
the
just give us a
space.
layout.
I will
Just
get
a-
y'all a layout.
Okay. All right, 4th of July, fireworks.
That is just a reminder that next week we'll be closing off that area around
Yeah,
the
around the
basement here
pier.
on the beach. That's all that is, just.
How
just a
big
reminder.
is that gonna be yardage wise coming each way?
I don't know how many yards it's gonna be. I
I
sent
just-
everybody.
Yeah, we saw that one.
Yeah, well, the circle you had on
But it
there?
didn't have,
It's not gonna affect anybody watching the fireworks. They can see
no,
it
it's not
just
gonna
fine.
affect
Okay,
anybody.
I had a couple of people concerned.
Well, yeah, there always
Seeing the
is.
fireworks?
No, they wanted to get close.
They wanna get up there and get their shirt on fire.
Basically, the reason we're doing this is because
Sit
it's
down
dangerous.
by-
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing this. I mean, we don't have a choice.
And the police will be there to make sure no one gets across the line.
We will rope it off, we'll put signs up on the 3rd of July.
We're gonna plan to put together for that.
Good deal.
That's all that was, Mayor.
Okay. Did I see? Oh, I guess I did. Lost it. All right, City Administrator, Oleander paving.
I will say that Adrian gets to watch the playground, I get to watch the shuffleboard and the lift station. So
There you go.
I got to admit, I saw someone playing shuffleboard yesterday.
On the lift station.
Oh, good.
I don't know how often they do it, but I was,
One a year.
almost fell over.
Would the thing shuffle?
I don't think that it shuffles all that well. Concrete doesn't work well, but they were out there playing nonetheless. Had their sticks and little discs, so.
There you go.
I'm glad to know they're using it.
Do we have plans to try to make that area there that's painted that god-awful color match the City Hall building?
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay.
That's probably a fall project, not a summer project.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go along with
Yeah,
that.
we'll make it match and look real nice. Back to the topic at hand, sorry to digress there. Oleander paving, we'll probably need Mr. Britton to help us in this discussion, but this was on the last meeting's agenda for the paving of the Oleander Avenue between Killer Seafood and the townhomes there. Jeff's gonna speak with some other people who might be able to house the stormwater retention ponds, because the way it's now laid out, the group that owns the property wants $1,000 a year for 20 years for us to lease that property. Seems to me that it benefits them because the road would no longer be eroded, but that's just me.
But that's what they asked for. If we didn't tell them no, we wouldn't do it.
We haven't told them anything.
My suggestion is, no, we won't do it.
Okay.
And then let's see if they want us to pave it or not. I think that's kind of ridiculous. That's just my own little humble personal opinion.
And I haven't talked with Jeff today to see if he's talked to the people next door or not. Plus, is there, the other question that we should have is there a way to pave Oleander without worrying about the stormwater, or it would be required to do stormwater because we're paving that now? A lot of things read into that. In other words, it's not just throwing asphalt down. You have to make sure you're guiding the stormwater to a certain place, you're taking care of it. So, Jeff, if you could help us out.
Sure. I guess what was in our previous update where we were looking for direction by early July, we can hold off on that. We did get in touch with the owner, Diameter Share Properties, who owns the property that wraps around the north of the Bay County Conservancy. We got them a copy of the exhibit showing how the proposed improvements fit in adjacent to their property. The owner said that he is certainly interested in speaking with the city to see if there's a way that would be beneficial to both parties to help out. But that's about the extent of the conversations thus far. So they've got an exhibit
They've got a general idea of what we were trying to do for the treatment of stormwater. And they're talking about it internally to see if it makes sense to help out the city or not. They certainly want to be a good neighbor is what they said. But again, they also reiterated that it would be a
Is the
situation.
stormwater issue, Jeff, is that something that in the process of trying to pave it, is that what the city has been looking at, or is that something the owners have said that the stormwater is an issue?
I don't know exactly where it came from, but when Philip and I were on site looking at it, that drive that leads north off of Oleander, if you were to continue 9th Avenue or 9th Street, it gets pretty severely eroded from water coming all the way down from 98, flowing down that hill. So,
But that's not a city street.
correct. Well, 9th Street is,
Yeah, but not the area you're talking about.
correct. But it's runoff coming off of a city street. So the thought was to try to clean up that erosion process, or that erosion issue, while we were paving Oleander Avenue. So to get back to one of Mel's points, under the Dusty Roads program, which we would be, exemption program, which we would be paving this road under, we don't have to install stormwater management facilities. We just have to improve the situation. By paving, it would reduce the amount of sediment traveling from Oleander Avenue across the townhouse properties flowing to the north. So that would be improving the stormwater situation, and we would meet the requirement of that exemption. So to answer that question, no, you don't have to install all the stormwater infrastructure or the ponds. That was just something, kind of a want that could help that area and manage that stormwater and treat it before it's being discharged into the canal.
Well, are we making things worse by paving it? I mean, what, if you didn't do anything,
I think we could.
We wouldn't have any sediment coming off the road washing in it into the townhouse yards, but yes, that driveway where it gets steeper, it would worsen if we paved Oleander.
All right, are you talking about the driveway that we don't own?
Correct.
Well,
This one right here, this falls off in elevation probably 6 to 8 feet from this point to here, pretty steep. And water comes off of 98, which is higher. All this area is paved, and there's nowhere for the stormwater to go except for this way. Oh, excuse me, that's.
well, I have a driveway in front of my house that's just like that. So if you fix that one, you can fix mine.
Well, I think yours is a DOT.
Oh, yeah.
Road in front, so.
DOTs do. Would it be possible for you to show me that area we're talking about?
Absolutely.
At your convenience, of course.
Sure, can do.
But the houses, the townhomes, they're not getting flooded. They themselves are not getting flooded, are they?
They're not getting flooded. They're higher than that,
Right.
that area to the north
Okay.
of them. But they're getting a lot of debris washing through their yard.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Jeff, that's a replat. That was never part of the city. Those 6 townhomes are part of a replat that probably hadn't been there 10 years. And so, at least in my eye, it's different, just like the subdivision on 8th Street that's being done now. Those folks are responsible for their roads. Just like Casuna was responsible when out on 15th Street, they were responsible for their roads.
Right.
Rightly or wrongly, that the city replatted that without any infrastructure from those property owners as far as monies that were either set aside but when you replat something and then 10 years later, they want all that fixed. I mean, all the roads that were paved here were platted in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been part of the infrastructure of this city for years. To me, that's just like something on 8th Street where those folks are doing their little subdivision or whatever you want to call that little thing. they're gonna put all the infrastructure in.
Right.
Now, the owner of that property, when it was replatted, might have had some obligation, but that's here nor there, they don't.
Right.
But to go to the extent that it seems we're going through to fix a replat for 6 owners, that seems a little over the top to me, that the city would have an obligation to do all that. Different from what it was on platted streets that have been part of the city for years.
Right. I don't know how they were able to construct that without having to do stormwater improvements to serve it. I don't know how that happened.
I would be inclined to figure out what it costs to pave it
And just pave it and be done with it?
and see if that, what they want to do to participate.
Okay.
At
Mr.
one
Mayor?
time, they did ask the question, because when that was platted, it was deeded over to the city, you know, for our city right away for a future street.
Right.
But the owners had asked me a couple years back, you know, would the city give that up to them and let them pave it? I don't know if that's still something you would be interested in or not. But then they would no longer be fronting a public street. And planners will tell you that's never a good thing.
Could,
That would hurt any other businesses that wanted to use, like Killer Seafood or those other 2 lots. Because if the townhomes own that road, they just might gate it off.
You never know what they're gonna do.
That's right.
Correct. And also, the Killer Seafood people, did get the proper DEP permit for the current parking lot, but they did say they're not gonna make any more improvements until it's time the city and or the owner decide what to do with Old Leander Avenue. Once that's in, they will adjust accordingly, whatever that means, that, you know, how they stripe it off, do they have to do their own stormwater, things of that sort. So they're kind of waiting for some action as well.
question I have, I don't know, Mayor, you may have the answer, or Mel. If we paved that area as a city but did nothing about stormwater, and would the owners of the property that would be hurt by the runoff, would they be able to come back to the city and ask for damage? Ask us to pay for damages because we've done something, you know, their land or their road becomes unusable or something
Well,
on
I
that
think
line.
Jeff answered that
And I missed it.
under the current plan, the city has no obligation to,
Under the current exemption, correct.
I mean exemption, I said.
We're not
exemption.
required to. I heard that. My question, I guess,
Right.
is kind of a general. Would the owners of the property be able to come back and say, hey, city, you messed my property up. We want, you know, $100,000 or something like that to repair it. And my only question is that, because if we paved it and then we're opening up another can of worms at the other end, you know, even though it's okay,
Right.
I think we need to be aware if we are opening up a can of worms. I don't know if there's any
You can always
answers.
sue whatever they want.
I know.
We've been sued before.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of giving them the road
No.
No.
at all.
And I don't like the idea of worrying about the road going north when the city doesn't even own it.
Yeah.
I mean, we have enough roads to have to worry about and pay for and take care of.
All right, so summarizing that, we put it on the agenda and come up with a decision.
Why we couldn't tonight?
I don't know. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Put it on the July meeting. Thank you, Jeff.
Sure. If I may, Mayor,
Go ahead.
I just have one concern. Jeff, you might. If we decide to pave this and we decide to do no stormwater, say we put a crown and where the road is, and that water coming down 9th Street won't be able to get out and it could flood Killer Seafood and Gulf Foods. That's something to think about.
Did you say you put a crown? I didn't hear that.
If we crown the road,
Oh.
crown that road as we normally would with any other road, we could put it and stop that water from being able to get past and go down that little driveway. We could flood Gulf Foods or Killer Seafood.
Well, why wouldn't you invert it and make sure that it doesn't happen?
Well, the plan, what we're showing here is we're planning an inverted crown.
Okay.
And those inlets are to be located down the middle. A crown section on that roadway would be about 2/10 ridge in the middle, because it's very narrow.
Narrow, right.
Killer Seafood isn't too much higher than that, but it shouldn't hold. I think, just from being out there, I think if it did stage up, it would work its way around here, and we would have issues on a diameter shear slope, and then back around down through here.
So when we have our flash floods now, where does the water go? Back down that road?
Right now,
Right now, it goes everywhere. It goes everywhere.
sheet flow straight back.
Yeah.
We've got a pretty steep fall off over here on this end of the road. And then it's a pretty steep drop off over here, down to that property behind Whole Foods.
Yeah, it's a good fall back there.
What,
8 to 10 feet.
what
drop
is
off.
our incentive to pave it in the first place?
Complaints from the people who live in the townhomes?
Would they be willing to do a long-term lease with the people that own that north road? And so that water would run down there?
In other words, let them pay the $1,000 a year.
Yeah.
I'm on an email chain with them, so I've already given them a copy of this proposal, and, you know, they all look at it in great detail, get back with me on it. I could fill that out if that's something we would want to do, that.
I don't know, it's one solution. I don't think we really should have to pay for the storm water from that road. The mayor is correct, that should have been put in when they subdivided. Yeah, I know there's people that purchase probably and the owners run somewhere else, but, and they're the ones that are wanting it paid.
Although I'm asking them about the $1,000 a year at this point until it's time to decide whether to do the stormwater at all.
Yeah.
So, keep it mum.
That just raises, that's a good point, but in order to do that, what's involved to pipe that water?
The piping network that you see here, these are what would be considered type C inlets, the smallest concrete inlets in the DOT index. You probably get away with 1, 2, slip everything back this way, send it down the hill. The piping could probably be 18-inch plastic pipe, HDPE or ADS piping, which is cheaper than the reinforced concrete pipe. And running it down to here, or we can run it directly into this little area to save a little bit of cost on pipe. This was just a preliminary thought. We could certainly put some cost to it. The ADS pipes can run you $30, $35 a foot installed. Those inlets, the type C inlets for that depth are probably gonna be around $3,000 a piece.
I just see that as a shared project with those. I mean, if we get involved in that to that degree, I see that as a shared.
Weren't they expecting a shared cost?
Well, at this point, the only requirement is the $5 per linear foot frontage, which is next to nothing for them. So they get off really cheap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe you can bring us back a cost, so we have an idea of what we're really looking at, and if we want to go through that expense.
Right. Something else we can look at, we haven't gotten into detail yet, is running a ditch down here, but there are some crepe myrtles, premature crepe myrtles along that edge that would have to come out to run that ditch. Actually, probably have to come out and run that pipe also. I know we're talking about it, but,
I think when you put numbers to it, it'll make a difference for us, and it'll certainly make a difference for those 6 property owners.
sure.
I think it was about $60,000
It adds up pretty quick.
from,
And let's just
Let's
get,
pull some numbers together and we'll bring
but
it
yeah,
up
just
to
put
you.
something together, yeah. Anything else on number 8? All right,
I'm gonna pass on that. I had some questions that were kind of answered, so I'm not needing that. But I do have something miscellaneous that does not relate to that.
okay, so 9,
I'm passing.
we're passing, okay.
Yes, sir.
10, Well,
Our favorite subject.
Whenever this subject's on the agenda, the fear of God is all of a sudden in front of us, not only for the public, but for us. But this is a housekeeping matter, to be honest. After we've made the final decision what to do with the sanitation service, we realized that we did not change the ordinance to reflect 2 pickups for the whole year. In other words, the way it's now in there is come October 1, we'll go back to 1 pickup per week. And that is not what we intend to do. So in order to do it right, we need to change the ordinance. So I need your okay to proceed with getting that changed. The packet has a suggested language, which in essence is just kind of marking out some of that. The only thing I'd like to add is in the first sentence where it says garbage and trash accumulated by residences, also put and businesses. And then do the strikeouts as indicated.
okay, and we need, that'll go for the first reading in July.
That is correct.
Okay, any, everybody good with that?
No, good idea.
Okay.
All right, prepare that, and that goes on the agenda. All right, Bill, go ahead.
Okay. As you all know, I have an irritation factor with a couple of houses in the city that are being built. One of them, I think we all definitely have. And that's the metal one over there, which has been taking care of ordinance for the future. But the irritation got me kind of wandering through the web again because I'd been told that there wasn't anything that could have stopped this type of construction. And I ran across a slide presentation for an online course for Florida Code and got looking at it. And lo and behold, if I read it right, and I'm not a code person, I'll be the first to admit, but it looks like that there should be, in building a residential home, a separating wall and specific door types to lead into the home between a garage and the house and the living area. And one of the reasons given was carbon monoxide and other fumes that could come from a garage. That perked my interest. I called the code people and they seemed to confirm it. The reason it perked my interest, if you all have seen the plans, internal plans on both of those homes, in the area where they may be parking their vehicles of whichever type, actually is where the kitchen is, off on one wall. If you force them to put which Florida Code, if I'm reading it right, would force a wall, because that's part of the living area, it's kitchen, no way in heck they could, really park anything there. And both houses were like that. But then I picked up a couple other items today on it. Same thing, everything I'm reading indicates that they should have never been built, never been approved because as the configuration they're in, because there's no separation between living area and garage. That kind of bothers me if that's the case, that we have 2 of them that were approved. I've asked Mel, because I'm not a code person, I'm not going to try and be an expert, but to get someone that is, it may be Nick, to look at it and say, yeah, that's what it says. There's a name I gave Mel from the code people that told me, yeah, you got to have a wall. If that's the case, frankly, I would ask, and I've asked him, and that's one of the reasons I brought it up, because I may have overstepped my request by asking Mel, that if it is the case, I would ask the building department not to issue a order for occupancy until they meet Florida building code. But the thing that really bothers me, in all honesty, if I'm reading right, and that's the reason I'm asking confirmation, those 2 homes should have never been given the okay to go forward. Because there is, at least both plans, I looked at the original one on 4th in Georgia, and I handed Mel a copy that I'd gotten from the one over here on Bailey Lane. There's no walls that separates the area. Now, in one of them, I know there's a wall that separates what they would be sleeping in, which are required, but I think there even has to be a certain type of door for that. But I'm concerned, I guess, if this is true, that we're not getting what I think we may need and should be getting at this point in time from our building department. Just want to throw that out.
Well, I think the LDR calls for, in residential areas, for the buildings to be fitting the area.
Yeah, it does,
And
but,
there's not another metal building.
yeah, that one definitely is true, and the other one, if you want to call it, we have such a hodgepodge of types of houses through here, other than the metal ones, certainly. But I frankly am not in favor of a garage that people are calling a residence. And like I said, I kept nibbling.
Well, I'm not either, but I wonder when they presented it to our building department, if they went in with the verbiage that this is our residence, and I agree with you if we need to look at our building department, but how was our building department to know that that wasn't their underlying idea? You know, they said residents, they took them for their word. Now, the door on each of them,
Gives a clue.
it gives a clue. Maybe we need to pull in the door requirements, you
Well,
know?
I think
Maybe that's the problem.
That might be it, but I'm wondering if, if that's the case, and they said it was a residence, and all of a sudden there's a boat or a car that ends up in that residence, can, code go in and say, hey, can't do this? I don't know. I'm just bringing up what I found, and wanted to let you know, I don't believe in hiding things, and more especially since I'd asked for a CO not to be issued if that's the case through mail. I think it'd been improper for me to do that and not let everyone know where we're going. And in fact, that if I'm irritated at the building department, I don't want to, I think we all, if that is the case, if this is a problem, then we're all going to have to be aware of it and see how we would handle, if we handle.
At this point, the COs have not been given to either one of the two properties.
I know.
We will double check your concerns to make sure we're on the same page, but during the whole process, it never was revealed to the building department that it was going to be a garage. So the owners said it was going to be the residence and said they simply wanted a garage door on one end. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that if you got a garage door, it's going to be used as a garage.
I agree, and I think those are questions that should have been asked and pushed at, and that's, I think, what Al brought up, immediately when he had the first meeting here, that should have been a red flag that would bring it in front of us. I think that's totally proper this way. But, we are a small town, but sometimes our regulations and how we handle our regulations doesn't mean we have to handle them as a small town.
Maybe we need to look at our restrictions for front doors. Be more specific. That might be the solution to another potential concern.
Well, depending on how this research pans out, Bo has given me a couple of sentences we could add that were LDR about this to make it more clear. But the question is, if the research pans out, there may not be a reason to make it more clear because it's just an understanding.
And if we do find that they have a vehicle in there, what's the fine for them?
That would be a code violation.
Well, I know I've seen a boat parked in one of them already that doesn't have a CO on it.
Inside?
Yes, ma'am.
Then
Is it code now?
Now, I don't know if it's there right now, but I have seen it from time. I walk that way, so I look at it.
well, then we need to take care of that.
Well, Bill, I'm glad you brought that up, because you just call a spade, and it's impossible to ignore the shortcomings of what happened in both of these developments. It's absolutely, what's in place was not followed, in my opinion. And when you end up, they're built. So now we end up like being policemen and trying to see, put a camera over there and see who's doing what. And the issue is that, especially the one on Bailey Lane, if you look at the contents of that packet, it shows they went in there to build a garage.
I agree.
And when they were turned down, they scratched out the word garage and they put house. And we didn't do anything. City administrator signs the development order. The building department says there was nothing that could be done. It met the code. And we, the city of Mexico Beach, are stuck with those 2 units.
Well, and one of the things you're saying, though, is, yes, the city administrator signed it because the building department said it met code. Maybe there should have been a question, but he's not the expert in that area. That's the reason I'm questioning the building department. It's not ours, it's a third party out there that sometimes I wonder if represents us, and that's another story, I'm sorry. But they're the ones that really should have gone, in my opinion.
Well, you know,
I mean,
I'm just,
I know.
what I'm saying is that the administrator, if you look at the documents on file in the land development regulation, the city administrator is the eyes of the city. The building department don't get a paycheck from the city. They're independent people.
yeah, but as long as we have them as a contract to us, I think they owe us under the contract more than just say this fits code. Because they are, all practical purposes, Mexico Beach's building department and represent us as such, whether we get anything from them or not, other than the fact that they're supposedly representing us. And I don't, in these 2 cases, I don't think we were represented.
Well, I've shared my thoughts with Mel about this, and I can do it publicly. If he's just going to stamp what they say is okay, well then, to me, that's not adequate. And I've told him that. That's not adequate. Because of what we're dealing with right
I
now.
know, I know.
You can't ignore that.
But I think it's more than just that. I think we have to, I think we need to kind of what we're doing to insurance is put out a request and look at several people and see what they're going, if we can find more than one, see what they'll offer us. And even if we get Bo back, make sure that it's understood that they are part of the city, even though they may be a contractor.
Well, I would like to invite Bo Creel
Okay.
to come to this meeting and tell us what it was that got approved. Or Mel come back with a report of what it is what you found versus why it got approved, because I don't think it should be overlooked. I really don't. I think somebody needs to be accountable for why that's there.
I would like to see Bo come. I think that, in my mind, yes, Mel is head of everything. However, we rely on our building committee. We rely on our building department. And these aren't the first 2 things that have had slip-ups since I've been on council. There've been a couple of other ones, and I'm sitting here trying to think, what are they? But I know that there've been a couple of other slip-ups just in the last 2 years from the building department that have hurt us. And so I think Bo needs to come. And yes, we're not paying him, we're not signing the check for him, but he is getting paid from the city's building department.
Well, and I think a lot of the citizens think that they work for the city.
Right.
I mean, that's the perception. And the other thing is, I have to agree with Bill. I think when they approve something, there shouldn't need to be any research done by Mel. I mean, if it's approved and they're the experts, so to speak, and I think, yeah, I'd like to see what Bo has to say about this.
I agree with you. You have to trust the people that you work with, and they should be working for us. And if we feel like there's a lack, well then, the same thing when you first came on council. They were using a checkoff list that didn't fit our LDR. It did not go with our LDR requirements. And Bill came up with a new checkoff list and presented it, and I'm assuming they're using that now. But they weren't a year ago. They were using the one that's being used west of us.
Okay. We're gonna get some clarification on what Mr. McLaughlin came up with. We're gonna get in touch with Bo and try to get some understanding of what it is what happened there. Okay, any other miscellaneous?
No, sir.
None?
No.
Have anybody?
It aggravates me that when we mow yards around here and people are told to mow it by a certain length of time, then it seems that those same people let it go another, is it 30 days, or how much time do they have from the time we give them notice to mow their yard or straighten up their yard?
Usually between 3 and 4 weeks.
Okay, 3 and 4 weeks, okay. So if they work 4 weeks and then you threaten them one more time and then they finally mow it in 5 weeks, then about every 5 or 6 weeks, they have to mow their yard. And it gets up this high and it looks terrible. Why don't we shorten that time? Why do we need to wait that long for somebody, you know? It doesn't take too many people. I mean, you don't have to be a real brain to tell that weeds are too high and the yard needs to be mowed or straightened up or whatever. We either need to do it on a routine basis and keep it that way as opposed to, you know, that way somebody could mow their yard every, maybe 2 times a summer if they're really smart. That's just my comments and that bothers me.
Okay. Rex, you got anything? This one? Just a quick update on the fish cleaning station. We met with Duke Energy. We have to get an easement from the St. Joe Company, and that's in the process. They staked it out for us, and Philip, have you contacted them? Rebel Ridge?
Yes.
Dewberry? And then we're gonna come back with a layout of what we're gonna put down there, so everybody will see what we're doing, but that's just sort of an update. Duke has been notified, they came, and they're waiting on us to get the survey. Then we'll have to get it to the St. Joe Company to get it approved for them to run the power line over there. All right,
What's the timeline for that? How quick can we get that working?
First year.
well, we can get the survey, I don't know how long that'll take to get a survey crew to survey.
Yeah.
it.
If we don't have to have a survey crew come out, if we can lay it out, we have the boundary available, so we have an area to tie it into. If we can just do a sketch and description from the office to cover the easement, then we can have that done this week. If we have to have a survey crew come out and do it, that's gonna be a while. All the weather delays and everything we've had, we're back up weeks right now.
Well, according to Duke, they gotta have a survey.
But we feel that we can have the easement done, the sketch and description for the easement done this
But
week.
is Duke gonna accept that?
Excuse me?
Is Duke going to accept that?
I don't know, I haven't seen what their requirements are, other than I know they need a minimum 10-foot easement. We're gonna provide a little bit wider, just to make sure that where they're working is covered by that easement.
I don't think that's gonna work.
I'll touch base with Phil.
Call Jim and find out before we, no sense, and I talked to him. You were standing there, but we were both all standing there talking, and I asked them, and I said, is that a St. Joe? They said, no, that's a Duke Energy requirement. We have to have
An access easement to be able to get to their equipment.
I'm just saying,
An actual survey and an easement are separate, different documents.
I
We already have the
understand.
survey data, we can write the sketch and description that's required for the easement, and all you need is the easement language, and take that down to the clerk of the court and have that recorded, and then their easement will be in place.
I'm just saying, let's verify that they're gonna accept that. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
That's all I'm saying. Let's verify that they're gonna accept that, or so we don't think we've done something and we haven't.
yes, sir.
Okay.
And so then we get the approval, then how long do we have to wait for these refrigerator containers? I get frustrated because we talk about these things and somehow we don't do Plan A. We don't get A together, ready to go when we have the money or when this gets here. We always have to wait for somebody else because we've lagged our feet. So what are we looking at? 2 months to get this refrigerator container?
Depends on what y'all want. I have in front of you 2 separate walk-in coolers. I was on the internet the other day looking at them and came across this one that you see sitting on the trailer. Thought that that would be a better choice for us as opposed to one that just sits flat on the floor. Reason being, if, let's just say we got a hurricane coming in this area, we can simply hook to it and drop to a safe place, disconnect the power and move on. If we wanted to use it somewhere else within the city, say, you know, one of our races or one of our get-togethers, one of our fishing tournaments, something like that, you know, we can simply move it to that area. I think, in my opinion, I think it would be best to go ahead, if that sounds good to everybody, I think it would be wise for us to go ahead and get the one mounted to a trailer. If we don't, in the event of a storm or something like that, we're gonna have to go buy a trailer anyway to move it.
Makes sense to me.
And the prices you see on either one, the one with the highest, in this particular case, this one's $733. That includes the side door, which I think is very important to have.
How far away is this company, do you know? Where they're
I
located?
talked with the gentleman yesterday, told him that, I don't know what the process is, I don't know if this needs to wait until the next voting meeting, I don't know how that works. But as soon as we ordered it, they have it sitting in the yard. They have them sitting in the yard. And we could have it within a few weeks, once the order was made.
But if we don't have the okay from Duke,
That's right.
what's the sense of ordering it? I mean,
Wait, you just said that the reason that we don't move along is because, you know, we're sitting there talking, well, we need answers. Do you want us to look at this? Because I can go ahead and get all the information that we're gonna need when that time comes.
And you can get it
Okay.
within 2 or 3 days.
okay,
Weeks.
2 or
yeah,
3 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna go up north. It's not gonna be here.
you're right.
Well,
I
I
did
think
say
we-
that. What I meant, what I was meaning, saying, how come we didn't contact Duke when we first started talking about this months ago?
We did.
It's, oh, okay.
We're dealing with
All right,
Duke.
I apologize then.
I'm not here to bash Duke in no way, shape, or
No, no,
form.
I apologize
But,
then.
a few years back, or several years back, I don't remember exactly what it was, we went through the whole process of trying to get streetlights out there. They didn't wanna work with us, St. Joe Company didn't at that time, didn't wanna work with us, but now, for whatever the case may be, 2 sides seem to be working together and we're moving forward on this project.
Okay. So this will still take weeks to get?
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna be a snap of your fingers waiting for the morning and it's there, but
Well,
once we get all our ducks in the road, it can happen fairly quick.
So
is,
if we had this, how much power does it take? I mentioned this,
It's a single phase unit. It's not gonna, it's not gonna jack up a power bill several hundred dollars.
but if push came to shove, and I think this was kind of Xed out before, but if we had our own diesel-powered unit to produce generator, so to speak, and just plug it into that, is that,
Yes, we could get a generator to
doable?
do that, yes.
I know there's a
but
concern about the noise from the generator. Well, why couldn't we locate this on the other side of the place, away from the houses, and put the generator around behind this unit?
You would still need a utility easement to run that wire from A to B, from the St. Joe Company.
Run the wire from the generator to this?
If you're sitting so far away that the house is in that area, you can't hear it. Sure. Are you talking about moving this entire thing to the other side of the?
Well, that's why I liked about it being on the trailer.
Well, this is just sitting on the trailer. The overall plan is to pour a slab, have everything mounted on a slab of concrete with the pole barn sitting over top of it.
I hear that, but you're paying for the trailer, right? And so the first year, we're kind of trying to beat the clock here because fishing season's gonna be over here, you know, by September. And at the rate we're moving, we're not gonna make it. So I'm just trying to have a stopgap measure that's not gonna cost us an arm and a leg. If we've gotta have this unit, and we could use a generator, and it could work for a certain length of time, that would be better than not having the service.
I can definitely look at a price of a generator that would put something like that.
Well, I didn't know if we had one or not. I mean,
Do not.
the police, do you have a generator now?
No, sir, we do not.
So if the power goes off, I guess we need to get you a generator too.
Well, I'd rather the building.
Yeah, yeah. I have a couple. If you have trouble, let me know and I'll bring my two by.
I went through Katrina, so I'm pretty comfortable.
Okay, got you.
Anybody else?
I have a question.
Sure.
For Philip. Philip, how did it work out having the front end loader down on Boat Round Road to catch fish carcasses?
Worked very well.
And what did you do with them afterwards?
We buried them
You buried them? Where?
in the woods. Just off the, you know where that big mound of dirt that's sitting where that backhoe's sitting at?
Yeah?
Right there in that area.
Huh. Okay, is that St. Joe property?
You can grow great tomatoes there
Yeah.
next year.
That's a stopgap that we're using right now to try to keep them out of the canal.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. Yeah.
That's not the plan, not the best of plans, but it's better than netting them out of the canal after they're in there.
Or fish them off the side of the road.
On the side of the road or somebody else's house. Is there any other miscellaneous? Any comments? Motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Thank everybody for coming.
You did it.